Welcome to Inside the Honors College, where we believe that wisdom and virtue is found when we learn together. Join us as we take an inside look at a community dedicated to educating the next generation of disciples and scholars. I'm Ellie Overman.
And I'm Taina Estevez, and it's always so fun getting to see other people talk about their sibling dynamics as a person also with a sibling and seeing how that kind of influences the journey in honors. It's always fun getting to see that. And then I'm always in support of getting people who can hype up the STEM perspective as well and getting to see that in the real world.
Yeah, it's so sweet to hear about how the Honors College even impacts family relationships and dynamics. That's so lovely. I also loved getting to hear about how a really specific conversation with a professor continues to impact her professional life. I think that is just so cool to hear from an alum, so I'm excited for us to get right into it.
Hello, Brenna. Everyone, I am so excited to have another alumni here with us. This is Brenna. Brenna, how are we doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. A branch just fell on me, so that's pretty
fun.
But I'm sitting out in a park on a lunch break, having a great time.
Perfect. Well, nature's very excited about this interview apparently as well.
Yes, apparently.
To kind of start us off light, for anyone obviously who doesn't know Brenna, she gardens and does stuff with her roommate and very green thumb nature-esque. So the kind of question that I wanted to start off with here is, what is your favorite plant to garden? I know you said vegetables as well and you have some flowers that you're growing. Just what's your favorite?
Oh, yes. I'm quite a fan of zucchini and just all squash in general because they're so easy to grow. You plant them and then they kind of take over everything, so you have to put them in their specific location that you want them to grow. And then you just have so many. And I do quite enjoy cooking with zucchini. I feel like there's a lot of stuff you can do with it.
Oh, I agree. And I love independent plants. So if I ever decide to
Yes.
green thumb it up, zucchini is where I will start.
Yes, for sure.
But awesome. Okay, so then kind of getting into your background in honors, could you tell us a little bit about how you heard about the Honors College? You were the second class of the Honors College, correct?
Yes, I was. I considered us the guinea pigs 2.0. We were They had figured most of the things out, but there were still a little kinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. So could you tell us how you've heard about the Honors College, kind of why you wanted to decide to join the APU Honors Plunge?
Yes, so both of my sisters actually went to APU. My oldest sister graduated in 2015, and then my middle sister graduated in 2018, and she was a part of the first honors college class. So
Yeah.
she was the original guinea pig. And I had heard about the honors college from her. I knew that she had had a very fulfilling experience. It was actually very sweet. She had written her reflection letter, which is something that you do at the end of every semester, for those who don't know, um, reflecting on your experience with the honors college. And she had written hers to me and dedicated her whole
Oh,
portfolio to me. And it was one of the sweetest things to get to read and see how much she had changed from her senior year of high school to her freshman year of college, just through reading these great works in the honors college.
yeah.
But even with that, I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to be a part of the honors college because I was going to major in biology, and I knew that that was going to be just a very busy major,
Yeah.
and wasn't sure if I was going to have the time to dedicate to the honors college. But I was a finalist for the trustees scholarship, and because of that, at the visiting weekend, we got to sit in on one of the colloquies. And so it was actually with Dr. Flannery, who moved schools a couple years ago, but I got to sit in on a colloquy with him, and they were discussing Ruth. And like the entire time, I just found myself wanting to join their conversation because I was so intrigued by the discussion in that colloquy and how they were drawing parallels between the Bible and modern life. And that honestly was something that I then found throughout my honors college experience, was getting to draw parallels between these great works and modern life. And it was really that colloquy with Ruth where I was like, okay, I want to be a part of these discussions. And then also listening to my sister, even more and getting to read her letter, it was like everything kind of clicked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I knew that the honors college was something that I wanted to be a part of.
Ah, yeah, I'm also a sibling as well. I have a younger
Yeah.
sister. So thinking about
Oh,
where,
nice.
my first portfolio was last semester. And I
Hmm.
did a little bit dedication bit, so I can kind of see some of that and I really love sibling dynamics. So that was the part that really
For
stuck out to
sure.
me. So while you were at APU, could you speak to how you maybe like grown through the different challenges in your experience, maybe specifically as a scholar? You mentioned your STEM is already in itself a
Yes.
hard major, and then on top of that, you're going through honors. So kind of how have you grown as like a scholar in your time while you were at the honors college?
Yeah. So I think the honors college, the primary thing that it did was taught me how to write, because I think to become a good writer,
Mm,
you just have to sit down and write and go through very intensive processes. And that's what
yeah.
the honors college was for me, was, uh, getting to sit there and work with these professors one on one about, with like working through my ideas and through my writings, really helped me develop my writing skills. And I think it made me a better researcher and scientist because of all the research that we had to do for our different papers. When
Yeah.
I now go to do literature reviews for writing things in science, I
Mm-hmm.
am much more equipped to do the research and find the resources that I need. So, one experience that I had was my sophomore year with Dr. Glyer, and
Mm.
she was telling us that our essays just kept repeating the same points. And I don't know why, but it made me think of the scene in The Emperor's New Groove. And I
I love
think
that
that this was
movie.
a meme where it was, yeah, right, where
Oh,
Kronk says,
Kronk's
like, oh, right,
Cusco's poison.
the poison for Cusco. Yeah, the
Yeah.
poison chosen especially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. And so I like mentioned that to her, and she thought it was so funny, and she was like, "Yes, you get it." And then after that, she was also able to work with me on uh some like common tropes that I was using in my writing.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so I think getting to sit down with her and see those points where, like, oh, I am using the same phrase over and over again. Perhaps I should
Yeah.
change that. And like getting that one on one attention was so helpful in the honors college. And then also helped me condense my writing, which is very important in science, is being able to condense your writing down. Um,
Yeah,
so
totally,
yes,
totally.
it's also pretty funny. I now am writing protocols in my lab for everybody to use. And
Mm-hmm.
I've formatted them like my old honors college portfolios, just because I've
Oh,
found that format in writing so helpful.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's pretty funny.
Kind of diving into a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit
a
to
whole
the
book.
the to the STEM background that you mentioned before, Brie, right? How do you kind of see
Yeah,
the stuff that you're talking about in honors come up in your field? You're in biology, correct, right?
correct. Yes.
Yeah, how do you kind of see some of these honors ideas maybe that you've talked about in, our great books? You mentioned that as well. Or and like I know colloquy is a
Hmm.
big part of me and I see a lot of the, maybe conversations that we have just kind of come up even in like, my acting. So how do you kind of see that turn up in biology for you currently where you're working?
I honestly think the place that I see it the most um, are in the biomedical ethical questions that we face,
Mm,
of looking at like what is right and what is good in these treatments that we're creating, and is it treating people well.
yeah.
And I think that that's where I find myself going back time and time again to the different great works and the questions that people asked, um, you know since Aristotle, like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah.
the, yeah. um so yes, I think mostly in how we treat other people.
Yeah, no, for sure. I couldn't agree more, especially, I mean, obviously with like, COVID going around right now and the conversations around that. It's definitely a huge conversation. So I could see that coming up for sure. And then
Yeah.
you as an alum, having, already been through the honors college, now living life with your whole experience, how do you see the impact of honors kind of in this dynamic between the school and alumni? How do you see alumni maybe supporting the honors college? How can the honors college support alumni? How do we, strengthen that dynamic?
Yeah, for one thing, the honors college really gave me all of my closest friends.
Aw.
So, like, I'm still best friends with the person I was randomly assigned to my freshman year as a roommate, Katie Mraz. We're still best friends. And Marielle Rotman, too. We all got to room together, and it was because of honors that we were able to come together. Um, so, one, that's just how honors college has impacted my life. It gave me my best friends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah. And then I also just think I love the events that the Honors College has put on where alumni can come back together and still have the discussions of the great works. Because I mean, I am in
Mm-hmm.
a field now where a lot of the day it's spent working at a lab bench. So I don't necessarily
Yeah.
get to have discussions all the time. I have some great coworkers that like to have ethical discussions, but uh, it's not all the time. So I really appreciate the effort that the Honors College has put forward to keep our brains engaged in the
Yeah,
humanities.
yeah. I didn't know that was something that was offered. That's so cool. Makes me, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm only in my first year, but it makes me excited to like graduate and then be able to come
yeah,
back and still like talk about these things with, people. That's so awesome. So
yeah.
kind of bringing us a little bit to a close, leaving us on a high note. If you were going to be talking to prospective or current student, what is one thing that you would kind of want to tell them to, take advantage of this honors experience that you've kind of gone through? Or even maybe a specific challenge that you have personally seen and grown through while you have been in honors? What's one thing that you want to say to that student?
Yeah, I would like to let them know that if you're having doubts about joining the honors college, like if you think your major is too much or if you're not sure if it's the right fit for you, just
Mm-hmm.
try it for a year. Because that was what my sister ended up telling me to get me to do it. She was like, just try it for a year. If it's too much, you can drop out. And I was convinced that I was only going to do the minor and then drop out after. Uh, but being in the honors college and seeing how much it helped me develop my worldview and like scholarly attributes. I knew that I wanted to do the major and continue on to do the Oxbridge tutorial, which was so impactful. Um, so, yes, if you're having doubts, just try it for a little bit. You can drop out at the minor if you need to keep on doing things. I had one friend who dropped out after doing the minor because he wanted to get a Spanish minor and was also doing a bunch of biochemistry classes. And so it was really
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I also had a group of friends who were nurses who made a pact that they were going to do the major together. And then they kept going on and doing it because they loved honors so much. Um, so yes, just try it because I think it will impact you for the better.
I always support trying everything once. So I think that's
Yes.
beautiful advice. Take advantage of what you got. I support. I support. Well, thank you, Brenna, so much for being here. I appreciate you and your experience and being willing to come over here with us and kind of share that vulnerability and talking with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, getting to hear about how STEM and honors kind of tie into her current life in her research was so fun for me because I never really thought about how that honors thought process and like the conversations and writings that we'd done could be applied quite so literally to research in her current life. And getting to talk to her afterward as well about some of the current stuff that she's doing.
Yeah, I loved her continued desire for conversation. These questions we ask in the Honors College really do impact us for the rest of our lives and teach us how to live better. And so I just really admire her continued desire for dialogue. That was really encouraging to me.
Yeah, same here. So thank you, Brenna, for sharing your story and experience with us. And thank you all for taking an inside look at a community dedicated to educating the next generation of disciples and scholars. See you next time on Inside the Honors College.